All right. Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Mr. Master of Ceremonies, Party Chairman, General Secretary of the party, nominees and husband, branch president, other executive members. It's indeed a pleasure of mine to address this gathering this afternoon. And it is also fitting that I was chosen to address this gathering in St. James South. St. James South is dear to me. Somebody asked how, of course I will tell you. Sorry, sir. Before I go on, I just want to say a very special good afternoon to all of the mothers here this afternoon. Thank you. And even more special good afternoon to my mother. I'm seeing her this afternoon for the first time for the day. Actually, for the weekend. Mom, stand. Pleasure good afternoon to my mother. This is probably the second meeting I've seen my mom at in years, and I know that is blessing. She's a Christian. Anyhow, let me move on. It is fitting that I be chosen to address this branch. This branch is dear to me. I have a very special interest in St. James South. This is where I met my wife. Hailing from Prairie Park and Husband Gardens, I spent many nights walking to the corner at Ainsville, taking the minibus. In those days, we had no transportation. So I learned the constituency of St. James South from courting. And she too played a very active role in Liz Thompson's, the Honorable Liz Thompson's dominance over the years. She and Mr. Brooks, they were co-campaign managers in those days. And I learned a lot back then in those days. And it prepared me for the mantle in which I've embarked upon. That's right. Nonetheless, let me get on with the business of the day. Sandra, I'm here to bring greetings from St. George South, and I have an entire team here. And we're here to support you, and we know you will be victorious. You'll be inspired by the fact that you have the likes of Maria Agard, the Honorable George Payne, and the one and only Honorable Owen Seymour Arthur. Living in constituency of St. James South. I know you will be victorious. I know you will rise to the task. And I know you will do what I am about to do in St. George South. Repatriate this constituency back in the hands of the Barbados Labour Party. I wish at the outset to thank the Barbados Labour Party family for showing the support on April 10th at the St. George South nomination. Indeed, this will go down in history in the politics of Barbados. Not only did you come up to support back then, but you supported on the 28th of April on the East Coast Road. You were in thousands then, and you can move in thousands on the East Coast Road. And that formed the frame of reference from which I will address you today. This is a great party, not because of age. This is one of the greatest parties in the region in the Caribbean. Not by age, I said, but because of deeds. Because of the unparalleled record by which we have achieved under the leadership of Owen Seymour Arthur. We both have one of the leaders within the last 30 years. We both have one of the greatest political leaders in the Caribbean. And that is by no whim and fancy. That is by track record. And when you speak to people, let the stats and evidence show that we have had one of the greatest leaders and still have one of the greatest leaders in the region. We must therefore not take a backseat when anyone speaks about development in this country. Because this party has been at the forefront of most developmental activities. In the 14 years on oil Island, welcome to Dale, Deputy Opposition Leader, and my friend. Welcome, Dale. So, we must not step back when people challenge us because we have a phenomenal track record by which we can stand and defend, right? And I'm going to go further because it is not by accident that 3 of our heroes were born out of this great party. 3 of our heroes were born out of this great party. And something puzzled me because from 1951, we're talking about the right to vote. And this is 60 years, we're celebrating our anniversary. 60 years. 60 years of transcendental events in the history of this country. But yet, we don't see any celebration by the government. But we celebrate our Barbados. Remember that. Yeah. So we will not victimize now, we will not ostracize good governance or good work in this country. And I want us to continue to stress and celebrate our Barbados. And I know they will reach the stage that they will begin to celebrate our years of existence, our years of the right to vote. Because that started off all the democracy in this country. And it is something wonderful that this great party, in addition to other things, would have done. But I want us to remember that under the Barbados Labour Party, we are celebrating the 60th anniversary of the right to vote. Freedom, and there are some places in the world that people can't vote. And I think we ought to take it seriously, take a step back, and applaud this great party now for coming up with the initiative, Sir Dwight Adams, adult suffrage, 6 years of existence, the freedom and right to vote. All across this country, though, the young and the old, the rich and the poor, businesses, manufacturers, they are all crying out. And we must understand what is happening in this country. No development. There are several projects that would have been stalled under the Democratic Labour Party, and they are blaming it under the economic recession. Right? That's the kind of leadership we have now. They continue to blame everything under the recession. Funds and gains, propaganda, while all the evidence is clear that there is crisis. And we as a party must not let this go on. We as good Barbadians and proud members of the party must not sit idly by and let economic and social terror continue to reign in this country. We must stand up. We must be empowered because the candidates will not do it on their own. We must continue to call into the radio programs, and we must show that we understand the issues that confront this great nation and defend this great party, the legacy of this great party. Mr. Williams right now is saying that the price of land in this country is too high. And when you get Mr. Williams making those statements, we are at a breaking point. Because we, the people, the poor people of this country, we should be the ones talking about the price of land, the price of housing, and all of the taxes that have been imposed on us. And don't talk about the cost of living.
Forget that.
Right? Let us not be drowned by the useless noise of the DLP nonsense. Whether it is in a speech by the Prime Minister or whether it is in the media, because all they're focusing on is the Barbados Labour Party struggle. And I don't say it as a struggle. Welcome, Anne. That's my friend. Happy Mother's Day, Anne.
Thank you.
I don't say it as a struggle. I see it as differences. What is paining them is that there's no comparison whatsoever between our Oinata and the Democratic Labour Party fundamental stroke. Fundamental stroke, they call them. And what is paining them more is that Miamali is a B and will remain a B. So all of these issues that we have, we are still united.
That's right.
Mr. Straw was recently placed under pressure by the people of this country and also by this party to say something. And also by them. Thank you. And like my friend said, he hasn't said anything. It was an empty speech, void of content. Nothing at all that we can reference. And I'm saying, what hope? What hope as the DLP is brought into this country for the future. What hope? We have no hope. We are struggling daily and we continue to struggle. Right? Are we to have hope that two ministers now, we have two ministers of environment. These two ministers said nothing during the floods. Have you noticed that, people? They said nothing at all during the floods. Are we to have hope with a cabinet who's trying to increase its numbers when we have economic struggles in this country? Are we to really have hope? Are we to really have hope with the tens of millions that these guys are spending to improve the roundabouts, but yet we still have traffic congestion at Warrens and all over? Are we really to have hope? When you look at the Ministry of Health, and I heard Sandra at the joint meeting up in St. Philip spoke about it, the pensioners are crying out. Mr. Donald Ennis has placed tremendous pressure on the pensioners in this country. Are we ready to have hope in these people? He has taken what I term the newly improved confused drug service. He has taken away all established medication from your pensioners. Are we really to have hope, people? We don't have any hope in this administration. I consider them a bunch of misfits to run this country. And I know you will join me in saying so. Let me move on now to private and public sector partnerships. But before I do that, I want to ask another question. Where are the economic policies that are supposed to buffer the ordinary Bajans?
They don't know what to do.
Where are the economic policies that are supposed to stimulate economic growth in the private sector among the communities and even in the public sector? Where are those policies? They have none. This is the only government I see. Whenever they are in power, they retreat from the private sector. Oinata has embraced the private sector during his tenure, during his 14 years, and he continues to embrace the private sector. There's something called private and public sector partnerships that is supposed to help stimulate this economy. These are the things that we would like to see as a government. Sorry, as an opposition, I am being previous because I see us being the government within the next year or whatever it's called. These are some of the policies that we would like to see. There are some non-traditional sectors where the potential has been shown, whereby public and private sector partnerships can happen. And there are still the traditional sectors that we have, where these partnerships are lacking. Fundamental stroke that I call him, he has failed to meet with the business sector in this country. And that is why economic growth in this country has not been stimulated. When you enter into private and public sector partnerships, what it does is it takes the strain off of the public sector. It shares the risk. You don't have to look for the funding. All the government has to do is create the regulatory environment and what we call the enabling environment. Let the private sector deal with the financing, the production issues, and the building issues. So I want to challenge you this afternoon in a discussion. This is not really a speech. That when you speak to the Democratic Labour Party supporters, ask them what are they doing for the private sector. Ask them what are they doing with the middle class. They're trying to wipe out this middle class in this country. And what are they doing for the pensioners and what are they doing for the poor people?
That's right.
Nothing at all we can say are packages that we can applaud the Democratic Labour Party on. And I am one who like to give credit where credit is due. But right now, I can't give the Democratic Labour Party any credit at all for anything they are doing. And I know you will join me in saying they are a bunch of misfits. And they need to remove themselves from office and let us take the mantle. Because we have a bunch of people proven, tried, proven, and tested. And a lot of us with potential like Sandra Husbands and myself, who will do a damn good job in government in this country. Let me just turn slightly back to Sandra. Sandra, just like myself, hails from the private sector. I would have been in manufacturing, as Sylvain said, for over 16 years. And Sandra spent most of her time with the Small Business Association, having been president of the Small Business Association. And we all know that for you to benefit and to lure investors into this country, I keep saying the private sector must play an integral role. An integral role. I just want for one moment to take a look, to do a contrast to the silliness that the Democratic Labour Party would have done versus what our great legendary leader Owen Seymour Arthur would have done in his tenure. I just mentioned a lot of the challenges that they would not have focused on and try to bring us up in terms of economic growth. But let me just name a few of the many bright sparks that we would have created in terms of private-public sector partnerships on the ground. When you look at Sandy Lane, when you look at the Harbour Master, when you look at Port St. Charles, when you look at the Warrens Development Area, all these things were done under this Barbados Labour Party administration. And we have a lot to be thankful to this government for. To the former government for. I keep saying this government because I see us next year taking on the road, right? We need to follow suit though, and like I said earlier, we need to have some more PPS, public and private sector partnerships within this country. But I know that what I've said here, that the Democratic Labour Party, when they hear, they will gloss over. Because like I said, they don't have the depth nor the intellect. There are a bunch of inept people who will not try to, all they do is victimize the Barbados Labour Party supporters and focus on getting rich. When you look at housing, I don't want to say anything because I may get locked up, put in court. When you look at housing, it takes one man. They call him Jada Lashley, that's his name. That's his name, Jada Lashley, that's the man. When you look at some of these prison cells that these people are building for houses, they call it housing solutions. And they said it is for poor people. But you can't qualify for it. Anybody making less than $3,500, $4,000, you can't live in these little prison cells. It is better we could go to jail and live there, but please don't do anything to go to jail, okay? But these cells, I have visited Grand area, and they're small little cells, right? Very small little cells. These housing solutions, they are not true housing solutions. When you look at the 40 years under us, the Barbados Labour Party, you see real housing solutions. But for the sake of time, I want to urge each and every one of you to join in this fight, right? And not wait until election is called. But let it be known that we as Barbadians, we are in deep pain and being attacked from all directions, and this government is doing nothing, right? Let it be known that we are united in the task at hand, right? But I want to say to Sandra this afternoon, I want to congratulate you, Sandra, on behalf of the St. George South Branch in the DLB. I want to let you know that we will be working with you and also the other members of the Barbados team, the Barbados Labour Party team, to win back this government. And I guarantee that you will do extremely well. And I am looking to see you in Parliament alongside me on the other side come next year.
All you labor warriors come. Roll call. Now let me go. Down, 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 down. We can lick them down, down, down. Down, 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 down. We can lick them down, down, down.